It's time once again for your update from the city of New Hope. Pleased to be joined by the mayor, Kathi Hemken, once again. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today?
Hi, Dave. Just fine, thanks. How are you?
I am very good. Good to get in touch with you again for an update of what's happening in the city. We have a lot to talk about today. Let's begin with delinquent utility service charges. Take us again back through this process. What is this and where are we now in the process?
So two things happen with that. When we buy our water from Minneapolis, and then we sell it basically to residents, and whatever goes through their meters, what they've used. So we sell the water. We've already paid for it, and that's how we're recouping the money. We also have ordinances and citations that we give people if they don't put their garbage cans away, say. So with those two things, you get a bill, and if you don't pay it, it becomes a delinquent utility charge.
Mhm.
Well, the beginning like in July, it was $364,000 that people owed. It's down to 263, which is 100,000 less, but that's still 263,000.
Mhm.
So they have until the 15th of November to pay that. And then after that, we send the bill to Hennepin County, and Hennepin County assesses their taxes. So it'll show up on your tax bill. Well, you also have to pay a service charge for that.
Okay.
So it behooves you to get that bill paid before the 15th of November, because you're going to pay it one way or another. And the other thing is, even if you're renting your property, that bill belongs to the homeowner. And so the
Okay.
homeowner or the apartment owner, whoever owns the facility, is responsible for that bill.
Mhm.
And it will get collected one way or another.
All right, and I'm sure, as always, if people have questions, they can go to the city's website or contact the city staff if they need more information about that whole process. Speaking of water, let's talk water restrictions. What are the latest updates that residents need to know?
Well, because of the drought, the Mississippi River had gone down quite a bit, and there was a drought warning out. At that time, we asked people to only water on odd and even days and to just kind of conserve water. Well, in the meantime, it rained a little bit up north, and people did a really good job of conserving. And so now, instead of being on a drought watch, we're on a drought warning, or the other way around. Instead of a drought warning, we're on a drought watch.
Okay.
Which means you can water all the time if you need to, but please don't water the street.
Mhm.
Don't waste the water. Otherwise, we'll be back in the same spot that we're in. So anyway, that's off. You can water if you need to, and especially get those trees watered before the winter comes.
That's good news. Let's move to community development and talk a little bit about the airport. There's something called the Joint Airport Zoning Board. Give us a little insight. What is this board and what are they considering?
Better known as JASB.
Okay.
It sounds good anyway. So there were some new regulations that the Crystal Airport had to put into effect. And those regulations will affect some of our cities, all the cities that are around the airport. So this board has been formed. The first meeting is coming up. And what they'll do is they'll explain to everybody that's at that meeting what the restrictions are from the Crystal Airport, what that means to the cities, and how we're going to go about amending our zoning codes. So things like the density around the airport, the height of the buildings around the airport.
Mhm.
So these are things that the cities need to look at too, so they can fix their zoning regulations. And they have one representative from all the adjoining cities, and then one from the airport commission, and then one, of course, from Crystal.
Very good. All right. Important information being discussed. Here's a great event that's coming up. African Immigrant Manufacturing Career Fair. Give us a little background on how this came to be and the details of the event.
Well, manufacturing jobs are really good jobs. And one of the problems that Jeff Lundy, who is now our county commissioner, has indicated that is a lot of times people don't apply for them because they don't know what that means. And they need some knowledge on the manufacturing process, and having them help them remove some of the barriers to getting those jobs. So that job fair is going to be the 23rd of October from 1 to 5 at Brooklyn Park Community Center. There'll be a website up that they can go to. And of course, they can always call either Brooklyn Center or the City of New Hope, and we'll give them more information if they need that.
All right, great event, great opportunities out there. Continuing community development, we've been keeping residents up to date on the Habitat House. What's the latest? And we have some great pictures to show some familiar faces in action.
We do. Staff on 2 separate occasions went to the Habitat House and performed tasks. You don't always have to be a registered contractor to do things like picking up debris, putting in a rain gutter, doing some painting, doing some pounding, putting up some drywall. So staff went to do that, to volunteer. Now what they're just about done with the house. Now what they'll do is find a family that can buy it. And when you buy a Habitat house, you typically pay what you can pay. The way they get around some of the high payments of that is the tax base. They don't sell them the land. A lot of times Habitat will hold onto the land, but you buy the house. And so they're trying to get people into these houses. They're very strict on who can buy one of these houses, and you have to live in it, I believe, either 7 or 8 years before you can sell it, just so that we're not building it so somebody can flip it and make a profit. We're building it so a family can live there.
All right, great project happening in the city. Moving on to the business networking group. What's the latest on that group? What's the next date of activity and where are they meeting?
November 3rd, that'll be at 2:00. It's sponsored by the residents of Northridge. I don't know if it's going to be virtual or if it will be in one of their meeting rooms. A lot depends on how COVID's going at Northridge and if we need to protect the residents there. So we don't know how they're going to do it yet. They might just do it from City Hall, but it'd be nice if we could actually do it at Northridge.
All right, again, more information on the city's website if you want to find out when and where that is happening. On to Park and Rec we go, and a lot happening here. How about this dance group? You have quite the turnout of dancers in the city. Tell us more.
Goodness. Well, they had to cut off the registration at 370.
Wow.
So that's a lot of little dancers out there. And that should make for a really fun spring rehearsal or show.
You bet.
I always go to those and they're so cute. They're so fun. So anyway, that's stopped now. You can't register if you haven't already. But the kids that are registered, it'll be a fun program. It usually happens around Mother's Day.
Indeed it will. We've got some pictures to share with you of some new trees that have been planted at the Civic Center Park. Tell us the story behind this, where they came from, who helped out.
Yeah, it's the new Spanish immersion school. It's a charter school right on Boone and about 46th. They donated 11 trees to be planted at Civic Center Park. And so the trees are in, and of course they'll be watered and we'll watch them grow. But it's really exciting to see this new charter school getting started over there.
Let's talk a little bit about staff in Park and Rec, some of the needs and some of the current people getting ready to go. First, getting ready to go, some training happening over at the gym. Who is over there?
Well, we hired a couple of people to be gym attendants. So that training is going on, and now they're working on the schedule for November, and not only for running the gym, but for the attendants to be there. We're also looking right now for ice arena staff and for warming house staff. So if you're still looking for a winter job, that's the place to go.
All right, the weather is sticking with us here, some nice weather, and that means people out golfing. How's the golf course doing now? I have to imagine very busy.
It's very beautiful. It's so green. I don't know how they keep it that green, but it's just gorgeous. So there still is open golf, but of course there's leagues. So you have to call and make sure that they've got a space. The leagues are usually in the morning and there's some in the late afternoon. So get a tee time if you can. Lots of tee times on the weekends because the leagues aren't there. They're still doing a rental for the clubhouse. So if you've got inside the clubhouse, by the way, they can seat anywhere from 45 to 50 people. So a small wedding in front of the fireplace and plenty of room for a reception. You can bring in your own food, and it's really quite reasonable.
Yeah.
And if you're going to have a graduation party in June next year, you might want to think about getting that space rented now, because that pretty well fills up. And they use the back patio. So there's lots of tables outside and there's grills, and wonderful place so you don't have to clean your house.
Yeah, great opportunity for residents. How about the ice arena? How are things going there? And again, if people want to get in and do some skating on their own, there is that opportunity.
Well, there's open skating on Fridays from 6:30 to 8 and on Sundays from 4 to 6. I think, yes. You can rent skates. They'll sharpen your skates. Most of the other times are just filling in with, there's lots of practice of the teams of the youth hockey is practicing. So during the week, there's lots of practice time with these kids. Tournaments are pretty much over. That's why the Friday and Sunday time slots are open for open skating.
Couple final notes to pass along. First, in HR, let's talk about a new staff person that is on with the city with a very special job. Tell us about that person.
Well, the stormwater specialist.
Mhm.
It takes a very special person to get that job.
Yes.
That's the title. They have hired one. They're going to make that announcement sometime this week. I have no idea who that is, but as soon as that person is announced, they'll start right away, I think.
All right, final note is about the photo contest, and the deadline has come and passed. So all the entries in, tell us about the process that happens now and what the plan is for people to be able to see some of these great photos.
Well, I thought they were going to post the photos, like the paper photos, but apparently, no, they're not.
Technology has got the best of us, right?
I guess. So the photos will be online, and they'll also be on the big screens at City Hall. So you can go into City Hall, sit on one of those nice sofas and look at the pictures, and then you'll be able to vote at City Hall. You'll also be able to vote online if you want to look at them there. They tell me the pictures are just fantastic this year. So it should be fun. They'll be available to look at after the 1st of November.
Very good. And again, the city's website, newhopemn.gov, the place to find out all that the mayor has talked about today and some of the events of things that are coming up, some of those dates as well. Mayor, thanks once again for your time today. Look forward to talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Dave. See you then.
Learn more about The Connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.